Go. Hello. I'm Jared.
And hello, I'm Jacob Rutland.
So, streaming.
Oh,
What do you want to talk about streaming about?
okay, the insane, absurd amount of money that streamers make.
It is. You got to think about. Okay, so being like a Twitch streamer, you make a lot of money. But then like OnlyFans and like other stuff, you make a lot of money. And all these people are essentially doing is they have like their computers, like camera, and that's it. But they make wow. It does make you think about the entertainment business.
My thing with OnlyFans, to be honest with you, and I think it's kind of funny, is it's like OnlyFans is being mocked and all that right now, but I'm like, it's not new. Like,
No,
what do you think cam girl sites are? Cam girl sites are just
guys, that's like, I'm
Yeah,
gonna send
yeah,
you
it's the
money
same
so
thing.
you talk to me.
yeah, it's simps. Simps have been around for a long time, long before OnlyFans, and they'll continue to be around. In fact, I would have an OnlyFans if it would pay.
If it would pay, yeah, it, OnlyFans, s- stuff like that is to each their own. You can enjoy whatever content. You can post whatever you want. I'm not hating. You can do whatever you want. But it is an absurd matter. You got to think about of how much money and what these girls and guys like. So it ranges up from like $1 to $20 just to view the content and like talk through the.
Yeah. I wonder though, how many YouTubers
The question is, how many of the Twitch female streamers? A lot, I can tell you. I
Yeah.
already know this for a fact.
now
And
the
that's
best question
no
is, who
offense.
am I gonna pay to see?
But the thing is there's nothing inherently wrong with it, right? But
No.
it is an interesting that you would do that to yourself. But you, fine. I'm not your dad or anything. You can make money, like money, good, and you making money, good. Okay, but I just realized the like it's like an outsider looking in because that's literally what I am. It's such a weird concept to come to like full fruition. Like it exists, but this really just like it just puts it right in your face. And it's like, yeah, and
Speaking of putting it in your face,
oh no.
would you date a girl who has an OnlyFans or is a cam girl?
Would I?
Yeah.
Yes, I would. I would. Would you?
Oh, definitely. No. I would totally. I would have her. I'd be like, no, it's okay to work. In fact, work double time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Double time.
I'd be her online pimp.
Oh no! Ay. I don't know about this one, too.
I'm kidding. No,
No.
but on a real level, I really don't care.
I mean,
yeah.
if I really like this person, I don't make money at.
People are gonna jack off to your girlfriend whether you like it or not, whether
Yeah.
she's famous or not,
And
whether
but
she
guess
has
what?
an OnlyFans
Guess
or
what?
not.
She's just taking advantage of.
Friend, whether you like it or not, whether
Yeah.
she's famous or not,
And
whether
but
she
guess
has
what?
an
She
OnlyFans
guess
or
what?
not.
She's just taking advantage of. She's giving content to other people and taking their money.
You see, no matter what content she's giving, that content doesn't feel nearly as good as what I'm getting.
Okay. I feel like OnlyFans has been talked about
Yes,
long
yes.
enough.
So, on to the next thing is, would you work for Elon Musk?
Elon Musk?
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a interesting I look up to Elon Musk as a leader in the common century. Like back in the day. It's weird to say like guys like Rockefeller because like those guys were like back in the day like yikes, aruga. But they were technically
Yeah.
successful and they changed a lot in business. And Elon Musk is doing that commonly. Electric cars, everyone thought it was going to fail. But guess what? He's outproduced. I don't know outproduce, but has more profit than General Motors. You know, GM, the powerhouse. Tesla is literally the top dog in the car industry, and they're electric.
No. Also, put this into perspective. As of right now, the last time I checked, which was like a week and a half ago, Elon Musk has $33 billion to his name, right?
Yeah.
33 billion. That's not a small amount already. That already puts him in like a very high. That's like 1% of the 1%. Well, guess what? This guy's Tesla shares, if he is able to make this like 12-figure.
Oh yeah, okay. So in like I believe 2018, until he completes a 12 performance steps, essentially like the company is able to improve the performance of the company, and if Tesla Motors is actually capable of meeting all of these 12 steps within the time, he will be able to essentially cash out his own bonds, and like Tesla will be very, very big, because you're talking about essentially doubling the whole company at that point, and it's already huge. It's getting massive.
Right, and from his shares alone, he's making over $100 billion from his shares. Right, and from his shares alone, he's making over $100 billion from his shares personally.
Yes.
Just from Tesla.
It's crazy.
Just from Tesla. Imagine being that man. He's gonna surpass Bezos from one goddamn company.
Yeah, possible. And it's the space race and all of that. That's dude. I am a big fan of all of this. But guess what? You don't get to see this stuff on the news.
No.
Like this, like Jeff Bezos. Was it the Blue Project? I forgot. The Blue Moon Project. I forget. He has his own project. There's SpaceX, obviously. Elon Musk. NASA is doing its own project to go to the moon. Pretty soon, I believe. And like. It's crazy because like we've been like silent in space for so long. Like what? 12 people have been on the moon. Only 12 people. And what? In 1969 is when Neil Armstrong took the first steps. And guess what? It's 2020 and only 12 people? What? That's crazy.
But what makes it even weirder is the fact that NASA goes from like baby steps, 12 people wanting to be like, yeah, we're gonna do a whole colony on the moon, and that's
a colony.
Yeah,
yes.
they went from like, hey, let's put a few people to just, hey, here's a colony, and that's
funny, and that's wild, because he wants humanity to be a multi-planetary occupying species, because that will ensure our survival more. Because say like an asteroid hit Earth and like destroyed Earth, literally everyone would be dead, I think, and everyone in space would probably be hit still, or they would fall, be shot, and they would have nowhere to go, and they would starve to death because there's no food anywhere, obviously. Humanity would essentially just die. But if we were on Mars, we would actually have a chance, because it's like, oh fuck, everyone on Earth, well, we still have Mars, and then maybe more afterwards. We don't know. It is crazy to think about.
No, it's absolutely very, very. It's mind-boggling to think that. Again, NASA wanting to be like moon, and then you got Elon like, nah, Mars.
Yeah, no, the Moon Project is it's Project Artemis. It's literally moon to Mars, and the plan is to go to the moon for like a little bit to learn about some stuff about how to occupy. I'm not sure, so they can learn how to set up a colony. So even they are saying they want to go make a colony on Mars. So like this is happening. Mm-hmm. We are going, and it's only a matter of when, not if.
No, man. Imagine this, right?
Yeah.
Fucking NASA will be on Mars. SpaceX will be on Mars. Mm-hmm. Like, other space agencies will be on Mars. But like, all the architecture and designs and way things are done are going to be different. And think about how culturally that's going to impact these future races of Mars. God. When you've got like the Mars homes for NASA potentially being these giant eggs, essentially, that are super cool. But Elon Musk will probably end up having something really cool as well. I don't know.
Wait, are they talking about like going underground? Or some
yeah,
stuff?
tons of people are, because that's
like
the biggest way too.
It's a pretty good method to survive, because the plan is it isn't like, oh, we're gonna build like a dome and like, chill, and it's like, no, we're gonna build a little place like like how we would build underground. Here, it's a facility to survive in, and it's easier to do that underground. Like, granted, you got to dig it up, but like it's more stable because because of the solar radiation, all the weather impact. You don't get that. You underground safely.
The only company as of right now that I can tell that I've seen even entertaining the idea of living above ground on Mars is NASA with their egg homes, their little egg homes, man.
Those egg homes, and that's interesting. And living on the surface of the planet would be super cool. And I'm sure we're going to get there eventually. But the first steps, I would hope, for the safety of everyone, would be underground. It's like a pretty good method overall. But yeah, God, it is absolutely wild that is happening within our generation. We will very likely see the space age, the beginning of the space age, and that's crazy. And not only that, the technological revolution, dude. The government itself says they are anticipating another industrial revolution, right? And obviously because AI, it's going to be a game changer in how everything works. Because what computers did allowed access. AIs will allow access and something else to do the job, and will be a functioning system, and that's going to be wild. And instead of calling upon it, it'd be like a whole thing. It's going to change. And there is a group of people that are launching a project. Actually, it's a cloud service, but you will be able to interact with a quantum computer. Like you know how recently in gaming, streaming has become like a big thing, like a Google Stadia, which failed. But then even Xbox has their own streaming site, PlayStation. I don't know, but streaming is actually very common. Well, this one company is like, yeah, we are going to allow people to essentially like access, put files, do processes through our quantum computer that will be accessible through streaming, cloud streaming, and like, because quantum computing right now, like 10 years ago, didn't even exist. Right now, it is in like its infancy. Like Google recently proven its supremacy over traditional, binary and all that. But not only that, this company coming out, it's only going to ramp up, and with quantum computers very likely to AI, because we're already working on Elon Musk himself. It has a project. Was it OpenAI? Yeah. It's a whole project in which
I was just about to bring that up.
Wild, bro.
No, and the thing with Elon Musk that's just absolutely wild, even more wild, is again, not only is he he like doesn't own anymore, does he? I don't know, but he has tons and tons of share in in SpaceX. He has tons and tons of shares in Tesla and in Tesla. What is it? The board company.
Oh, the Boring Company?
The Boring Company.
Yes, the tunnels and the flamethrowers.
And
that's not flamethrowers, my sir.
No, and then not only that, the dude just like partners up with Bethesda for Starfield.
Oh yeah, Starfield. What the wild.
No. He's like, hey, some of you may not live to see the space age, so here's a tease.
Ooh, yeah. Ay.
I'm excited for that game.
Starfield?
Oh yeah.
What's your favorite game?
Of all time?
Of all time, just like, what is a game that you would be like, yeah, I can always play this, or like, oh no, like a game. What is your favorite game? Like, what do you qualify as your favorite game? Any qualification? No restrictions. It could be like, oh, I played this once, but it was my favorite because anything, any favorite game.
Okay, that's good. Okay, what's yours before I answer mine? Because I need to think.
What's mine? My favorite game. My second favorite game used to be. It was my favorite. Was Little Big Planet. You ever heard of that game?
Yeah.
I saw an exchange student. He had a PlayStation 3 and Little Big Planet. Thing is, Little Big Planet hadn't come out in America just yet. It was going to release in the summer, later in the year. But me and my brother were playing that game, and God. But my favorite game is Minecraft, and it's pretty hard because Minecraft is. When I say my childhood, I got it on my 10th birthday, and I've been playing it pretty much ever since. On and off. Yeah.
Okay. I think, as cliche as it might sound, Skyrim.
That's okay. It's your choice.
I didn't get it right when it came out. I got it in 2012, early 2012. I think like February of 2012.
Yeah.
So really early on. Almost like launch.
Yeah.
So Skyrim veteran. But as a young,
shit.
it was my first game where it like truly gave me the freedom of just go where you want, do what you want, be who you want, and I loved that. And I still love that in video games today. Yeah, in fact, those are my favorite. They're what I crave whenever I look at game conventions.
Oh, so I noticed that you say Starfield and what's that other indie game you were talking about? Skyrim.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
both of those are made by Bethesda. What's your opinion on that, Bethesda, my friend?
Bethesda's a company that I think the developers are actually decently, like really not decently. They're very passionate about the games they make. They're very overall. I think the developers love the community. The developers are passionate about the games they make. The developers are overall pretty good developers. They've got some shitty marketing and PR people, and they've got kind of a scummy person who owns them.
Yeah.
I think with what we saw with Wastelanders overall.
Oh, Fallout 76 Wastelanders. That's a really good. I love that a lot.
Oh yeah. You and I both played the shit out of that.
Being that Fallout is actually my favorite Bethesda title, Fallout 76 Wastelanders is absolutely worth the purchase. It's fun, definitely, if you have friends. Even with not being able to make friends, you're probably not going to do much. But being able to get friends onto Fallout 76, it changes the experience. But the game is still Fallout. It's true to its name, and it feels like, I'm playing something that is worth, Fallout's name finally. Because God, it's been a while. It's been a hot second since it's like, oh, Fallout. It's like, oh, Fallout. Ooh, I'm sorry about Fallout right now.
Yeah. I think one of the big things with Wastelanders as well is Wastelanders really shows me that I want co-op. I want to be able to fucking go on quests with the homies, but in the other Bethesda games a lot. And I know some people are like, but it'll take away from the single-player story, and it might. But I also think that that's just an excuse. At this point, they've got the code for it. Tweak it a bit, maybe give us some customization in terms of hosting servers, that kind of stuff. Allow us to make sure that our friends aren't idiots and kill important NPCs or anything like that.
Yeah.
But
oopsie, sorry.
I say, yeah, let us run around with our homies. Up 4 to 8. They've already got worlds with 8 people, so 4 to 8 people.
I think that's fair. Yeah, no, definitely because co-op, because it obviously, especially with the next generation of games, is the expectation of single-player games are fun and will always be around. You can still probably play these games single-player, obviously, but it's like, why just keep it single-player? Like, a game developer should probably realize the profitability of people playing with their friends. People love playing with their friends, messing around, and so say the next Elder Scrolls game, Elder Scrolls 6 is co-op. That would be absolutely you would be able to not only experience the world and play the RPG by yourself and with your character, you get to do it with someone else. And you don't necessarily have to make it straightforward. Oh, everything has to make perfect sense with both characters' lore. No, you can do it how you do it with 76. Because in 76, it has has locations that are story-based. And you can go in with your friends and play their story, or your friends can play with your story. But maybe trying to find like a middle ground because obviously that's not always going to be fun. But uh, I think it could work. It definitely could work, and it'd be way more enjoyable for everyone that would play it. I don't know. Wait, is Valhalla also going to be It's supposedly. It's not.
They
No, no,
haven't-
no, no. These is not. I'm not game fact.
Yeah, none of this is confirmed. But yeah, the big rumors, big leaks have been saying that Assassin's Creed Valhalla or that it will have Far Cry style co-op. If you look at the current gameplay trailer we have, I don't think that's far off to assume because it looks like they actually took the siege system from For Honor and added it to Valhalla, which made perfect sense. You want sieges for Vikings? Take that game that's got Viking sieges and rip the sieges from that. It was obvious.
Yeah.
It made sense. So I think that if that is indeed and even if you look at the marketing, there's just shots of like what looks to be 3 Ivors and then like 2 chicks that are almost identical. They just got different beards and hairs, and so I think that we will be seeing multiplayer. It'll probably be like Far Cry. You can't do stories, but you can go do
mess around.
raids, wars,
Some basic events with your friends, and that would be cool.
Oh yeah.
And obviously it's just logical at this point because not only will games be way beautiful, funny word, the logic, the physics systems behind them, the physics engines of how they're going to play, the lighting system. Obviously, the lighting system is actually a big selling point on the next consoles with a little something called ray tracing. Ray tracing essentially is a simulated version of how light rays. Light is in a ray, so it bounces off of the surface of the world and reflects actually back into your eye. But the way how video games work is they essentially just lit up the world, so it was visible from not visible. But with this more realistic lighting, you have the capabilities of having more like dynamic scenery, beautiful like aesthetic, looking over the coast with the water, the sun hitting the water and the waves, being able to, and the light bouncing, refracting like that. That's going to look beautiful.
In fact, if you notice in the gameplay reveal for Valhalla, and I'm using Valhalla specifically because it was short, but it had some actual gameplay in there. You could tell. In terms of texture quality and even polygon count, you can tell that Valhalla at one point had started out being a previous gen game, or rather, it's the textures and polygon count are the obvious in between. Of the current gen and the next gen. It was very obvious. However, the first game they showed off, and I can't remember the name of it right now, the textures on that were pretty good, actually. I really thought the overall the game looked very great. And that gets me excited, to be honest. Again, when you've got games that are massive, well, like Starfield. Starfield supposedly is going to be this massive space game, but when you've got these better physics systems and lighting systems in these new consoles, that gets you real hyped because we're about to see shit that we haven't
seen before.
Yeah.
And you also got to think about like light physics, and also space. I just connect the dots. It's gonna look crazy, bro. It's going to be unbelievable, and that's going to be top notch. Not only that, from now into forever, but that's just like will have the influence of essentially of SpaceX, Elon Musk. Will always have that influence on their engine because they worked on the engine, right? They developed
I don't
a little
know.
bit.
I don't know the full extent of how much they worked on it, but I know that they definitely helped with the physics system for the engine, and so helping with physics simulations in games.
Yeah. Games are changing. The next consoles of games are going to change everything, as we know with Series X, also with the Lockhart, Xbox Lockhart.
Yeah.
Really, the PlayStation 5, it's going to have a hard competition this year, and this is the first time Sony will probably be at the loss in the gaming industry.
Yeah, to be honest with you, if they do in fact come out with the Lockhart, which they did say that their June conference was going to be very different from the rest, which I say probably hints at a potential reveal of a second console. If it's not going to be more like, here's some gameplay reveals, it's going to have to be a console, or here's some operating system stuff.
Explain what the Lockhart is.
The Lockhart is supposed to be a cheaper, less powerful version of the Series X.
The next Xbox console, the Series X, which is supposed to be powerful. The Lockhart is essentially the more consumer-friendly, more affordable, cheaper alternative that individuals can buy who can sacrifice some features for the sake of money. And this is very bad news for PS5 for the obvious reasons that they currently, being that we are in a world crises with the coronavirus reducing production, Sony actually took a hit, and production costs are what increased, right? So if the PS5 was announced.
Oh yeah, we don't know the official price of the PS5 yet, but I do believe some statements were made that again, production is down on the PS5, and because of that, they don't have as many numbers as they would want. They're gonna have to charge more for it at launch, which we could assume that the original price point was going to probably be around the $400, like the PS4 Pro. But with them not being able to manufacture at such a high rate as they would normally be able to, they're going to have to up the price. And we're looking at either anywhere from $450 to $550 for the PS5.
And that's bad news because the Lockhart is set to be
Oh,
potentially released at the 400 mark.
No, it was at the 300.
300 mark.
Yeah.
That's far below what the expectation of the. Even if the PS5 was to come out at the expected price it's still at a disadvantage.
It was Xbox's trump card. It was the idea of, hey, again, if
let's just take a couple more.
Yeah. People who don't want to have to spend much more on the next generation and don't care about whether they have a PS4 or an Xbox.
Yeah, and
the kids who don't care.
It's mainly for grandma got me an Xbox, and it's like a grandma is going to go into the store and he's like, oh, can I see some of the gaming consoles for my grandchild's? And she's going to go in there and she's going to look at the price tags and she's going to see, oh, that's a lot of money. Oh, it's an Xbox. It's $300. That is pretty good. And they're going to buy them. And guess what? The younger kids, even some older kids, are really like, oh, this is pretty good, Grandma. Thank you. I appreciate this because because the Lockhart is still going to be more powerful than what the current Xbox.
Oh yeah, it's in fact.
What is it? Xbox Project? I don't know what it's called.
According to leaks, it's essentially what's going to replace the series or the One X.
The One X.
Yeah,
it's going to replace it.
It'll replace the One and the One X out of all the homes. So the majority of console sales, if they are bought this year, will probably come from the S, which is what the Lockhart will probably end up being called. Because we know that the Series X was originally called the Anaconda.
Yeah, they have these interesting, cool names, which I would not be I would be kind of down with them to release like Xbox Anaconda.
Oh,
Xbox Lockhart. I love it. It's such a cool name.
My Series X
actually has
Scorpio.
It says Project Scorpion on it, because that's what it was titled during development. Which I believe Project Scorpion also a cool name, right? Xbox Project Scorpion. I don't know. But granted, it's probably going to be very confusion. It's already confusious. I'm going to die. It's already confusing as it is with, It's Xbox. Xbox 360. Xbox One, Xbox technically One X, and then now it's the Xbox Series S. They also have Lockhart. No, S and then Xbox X. I forgot. X.
Yeah, we
I
have the Series S and the Series X. Those are the two new ones.
Fuck, bro. So
Yeah,
confusing.
it's very confusing.
Yeah.
One of the things they want to try to, one of the things they really want to try to do to combat that is, and I don't know if it's gonna work, but we've seen the leaked startup screen for the Series X.
Oh no! They released that. I saw that video. They released the startup and title of
Yeah,
the.
and so all it is just Xbox.
It's just called that. No,
it
because
doesn't say Series X. It doesn't say Series S. It just goes Xbox. It's very low.
they're trying to make an
Down
effort
low.
because they're trying to not instead of having an Xbox because they're gonna release multiple Xboxes because that's what they do, and having all these names is going to be kind of confusing. But the idea is that these are just labels for them. Currently, I'm not sure why they started so low in the alphabet, but hey, you can do whatever you want, buds. But 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 the thing is, it's actually more or less just like, oh, this is the software of Xbox. You have an Xbox, and you will be able to play, because it's no longer. Back in the day, consoles were needed because you had disc, and that's how you were engaged. So you have to buy a specific disc for a specific console to play. Nowadays, it's kind of more loosey goosey because now, with the advent of currently Xbox allows you to buy essentially the name of a few certain games in their store that you can play on the Xbox that you can play essentially on your computer. You still have to download the game, but it's essentially like you just bought it on the Windows 10 because Microsoft, and like that is crazy.
And see, now when you buy a Series X or the Series S, they're doing a thing called Smart Delivery, which is taking that to the next step. Now when you buy your Xbox One games, they will transfer over to your Series X, and if they have a Series X version, you will get that version for free.
Ooh, wait. So you're telling me that they are launching so that you can like put in your old games into your new console, and it will give you the up-to-date version for free.
Yeah,
because you have the game. Like, oh, that's brilliant.
The biggest game that announced this essentially was Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk from the get-go was like, we'll release the Xbox Series X version of Cyberpunk for free for all users. And the thing is there's tons of games that are doing that, like Valhalla. You buy it on the One,
and you'll be able to
get it on the X.
Okay, so because the transition back in the day was kind of more stress. It was like, oh, they're releasing new games, and then they release it, and then the next console is like, oh, we kind of like it didn't have the like longevity of the sales because it's like, it's dead console, but and it's already like at a disadvantage if you have games like that. But and it's also a very consumer friendly idea because it's supporting the people. Like you already have those games. There's no point in you buying and buy. Like we already know you go through that a lot because currently gaming as a service kind of hard because you go from your computer to your Xbox to your. And it's like if you want to play like all the good games, you have to have the Nintendo Switch. You have to have all these different, and it is kind of hard. But being able to just cheaply buy, not even buy, just like I already have this. I don't have to go to the stress and the financial loss for that. And it's a brilliant move, I think, just as a means of like so people like. Others don't have to go out and buy new games. Like, you already have some games to play off the boat, off the strat, and it's your game. It makes perfect sense.
Oh, and Series X is also launching with backwards all the games that are currently backwards compatible on the One are backwards compatible on the Series X. In fact, the whole One catalog is backward compatible on the Series X.
And that's actually one advantage they have over Sony, because with Sony, the way they develop the consoles is the environment. The PS3 was designed to be like, let's not get any hackers because that was an actual concern for the console manufacturer Sony, because that's bad news when people are able to bypass and do whatever they want, get all these free games. Like, oh no, we're not making any money. But by doing so, the environment they made for the PS3 was actually very difficult to replicate, because it was very dependent on the hardware-software relationship, and you couldn't really get the same hardware from a PS3 into a PS5, because they moved on from the technology they used, because the way they've done it is they haven't focused on that aspect, but Xbox has, and I think that. But the thing is, as a kid, I got a PS3 that was my console, and I think PS3 was better than the Xbox 360, merely for the fact because of Xbox was a Gold Pass. You essentially pay it for online. That's what made PS3 better. But now all consoles make you have to pay for online, right? Essentially, so so PS3 does not longer have that advantage, and I believe Microsoft, especially with the upcoming consoles, being its technological and software, boom, it's going to really knock. I believe they be able to knock this out of the park, and I have faith with them. And Sony. So Sony may not be able to catch up with them, but I am interested in their personal experience, the player experience, because they focused a lot on that. With the 3D audio, the infinite sources of audio, that's crazy.
And finally giving their players just an Xbox controller. well, no, I mean
it is though the DualSense.
All the tech that's in that controller is just Xbox tech.
It is pretty much.
And
but that's kind of, but the thing is, why I'm happy about that is I'm hoping for other consoles will be able to adapt with the personalized experiences like that. Say Microsoft was able to later on buy the rights or some thing, and was being able to get that, because I would love to have 3D audio when I'm playing. That's so easy. That's so convenient, because right now it's directional and it's good as it is, but having that 3D, it would blow your mind.
Oh yeah.
And I think it would be just you also get a better sense of the environment, I would believe. Instead of just an audio clip, you would able to be oh, here's a source of an animal and stuff, and I believe that would transcend oh, I can tell way more positioning before, instead of just audio clip. I don't know, and I'm not saying that's what they're doing, but I'm saying I'm hoping for audio to be that good.
I would imagine the Series XR SRT, whenever it comes out, will probably have the 3D audio. But until then, yeah, I agree with you there. 3D audio is the shit. I would love to have it on the Xbox console. Kind of off topic, kind of on topic.
Hit me.
How do you feel about modding in the next generation?
Modding, okay. So currently modding, I find it interesting because I know Bethesda's doing it in Skyrim and in other games. Fallout 4 has it, I believe.
All of Bethesda's titles will probably eventually at some point have modding. But this is a different type of modding, because back in the day, what I know about modding, and what I'm sure a lot of people in the gaming scene know about modding is essentially adding files to the game from a website that you just got, and then you just clicking it and putting it into the game. But how they've implemented this mod system into the game, for even on the Xbox right now, Skyrim, you can go into a menu in which you can just download any user-created content mods, and it adds new content, new quests, new armor, new animation, all of that is all added, new lighting.
It is a full mod. It is the traditional modding, but it's free. And the only restriction is the how much space they give you. And in Skyrim, they give you like 5 GB to
Oh,
play
yeah.
with, and then you can
They have
only
some-
have a certain like amount of mods as well.
They have some rules that they don't really. The only rule they really enforce on on their mod page is no nudity. That's it. Other than that, they're not supposed to have any licensed mods. So like they're not supposed to have Halo armor mods or Predator armor.
Yeah.
But they're all constantly on there,
Right,
and they don't patrol them enough to even care.
Yeah, but the mod system is built right into the menu. You start up the game, and the same menu that you see to start it, you can scroll down to find the mods and be able to directly add them. And you do need to know the ins and outs, like how to delete some data, how to like handle load files, like the load order. But like, it's not that complicated, and it's pretty straightforward. Like after you get to understand what it is, and after that, it works, and that's the craziest idea. And I believe games like later on, like Starfield, I hope they have mod menus. And I know that's a crazy thing to say, but I believe it's totally possible, because not only it's a new console, and I believe not only will like co-op and like space be like a real selling factor, but having mods instantly will attract more people, because you can personalize the experience even further, and people will always love that. No matter what, like you can create a game and it'll be perfect, and it's perfect. But being able to have personalized experiences with mods, it's what
The good thing is Bethesda at this point is their hands. They are the advocators for mods, essentially right now. You've got the devs of Space Engineers, which I think is Keen Software. They have something similar to the Bethesda's process. It's the workshop, and it's not necessarily for mods, but it's more so for user-created ships and things of that sort.
And even that is like interesting enough to be like worth it. I games like Gary's mod. You know what Gary's mod? It's essentially just the Half-Life 2 source. I'm not sure what it's actually the source that Valve uses to create essentially Half-Life 2. Gary's mod is just that, but user created content. That's literally what Gary's mod is. It is a environment in which literally you have to have assets from the game to play some of the stuff, because that's how the source is, and it's crazy to think about that. But Gary's mod is a mod, like it is the game engine mod that allows anyone to do anything. It is essentially the source, but it's implementing your own game to a game that already exists, instead of having to like rebuild the game. You already have like the basics. Oh, I'm walking around. You just have to add more to it, and it's a good starting off point.
Do you know what that reminds me of?
What?
There's an actual game that was just made using Skyrim's engine.
Oh, what is
it?
it?
It's a whole other game. I don't even remember the name of it, but if you looked it up, I guarantee you'd be able to find it. It was huge on the internet for a while. It went viral because it's a whole ass game using Skyrim's assets, and it's a good game. Not only that, but people have literally recreated the entirety of Morrowind in Skyrim, the entirety of Oblivion in Skyrim. Like the two games before Skyrim, they created in it.
Oh yeah, and projects like that, like recreate old games with new engines, are absolutely wild. What is it? Internal? Is it Internal Forgotten Stories? What? Okay, so what's that? What Internal Forgotten Stories? That's like mod better than most games. Internal is a total conversion mod of Bethesda Software's game, Elder Scrolls Skyrim, developed by Secure A as a sequel to a different thing. It was released in 2016 July, initially in German only. English version no one cares. I'm sorry. The plot's empty.
The point is, Enderall is a massive, massive mod that's game-sized.
PC Gamer gave it Jody McGregor was it, a 74 out of 100. McGregor found his 50 plus hours spent in the game enjoyable. So apparently it's really good. That's crazy. Yeah, no, but like, there's so many people that are trying to recreate like games or even make their own games in other games, like Fallout 4. I believe there was was it Fallout Miami or something?
There's Fallout Miami. There's Fallout. There's two different
That's
Fallout
built
New Vegas mods that are being worked on separately, and I think
and
they might share assets together or something. I know a lot of mod teams work together. There's a whole team working on recreating Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, and as stupid as this sounds, when 76 comes out, I'm actually interested to see if any of those same people might want to import their mod over to the 76 version.
And that would be wild.
Engine. And could you guys imagine being able to play a 76 version of Fallout 3 or Fallout 4 even, or Fallout New Vegas?
Yeah, and that you'd be able to see these old like, characters, old implementation, like these old locations within these new environments, and it's going to be absolutely mind-boggling. And the mods are everything.
Do you think someone will try to recreate Skyrim in the Elder Scrolls 6's engine?
Maybe, absolutely. I know these. Okay, like other games, like the fact that people are like trying to make like old Fallout or old Half-Life games in the newer engines. Skyrim obviously is going to get a remake by the community because of how infamous it is. Because it's been on essentially every console since the 360. With PC, ever since the 3, it's been on like everything. It was even on the Switch, I believe.
Oh, it's on the Switch. It's on Alexa, and
it's on the Alexa. It's
yeah.
literally on Alexa. You can play a version that's funny. Like it is everywhere, and I'm sure, like people are like, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna make Skyrim obviously.
I don't know. I have to look it up.
Especially with the new like game mechanics, I'm sure it'll be a far different experience, and it will transcend the Skyrim experience with this new game experience. And not only will you be able to play the new game, you'll be able to play the mod. It's wild, and I believe mods are epic.
Yeah, honestly, it's the same way that like when Fallout 5 drops, it's the same idea as the 76 engine. People are gonna make remake Fallout 4 and Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 5's engine when it drops. It's
very likely. What?
A company that should, I think, kind of take pride in their mod community again is Rockstar. Because they used to take tons of pride in their mod community, and they used to have such a strong mod community, and they kind of have one again. But with GTA 5, they didn't necessarily want to embrace it at the start.
And it definitely is probably hard. Like you gotta realize is you're allowing people to have full access to everything, and that's kind of hard to like really fully be like like. Are you willing to allow people to break the game essentially? Because that's what people will do. People will make mods. They will make it easy. And I believe companies and game people need to be just okay with people being able to do stuff like that, because a game, while yes, the story is important, what you've done is important, I'm sure people will play the way it is, and I'm sure people will like use mods only to enhance like some aspects and still explore your world, but maybe some of them will just completely like not adhere to like, oh yeah, I've never played it. I've just played the mod of a different game version in the game engine, and I guess, oh whoa, or maybe someone is like, oh yeah, I have cheats and I just run around super fast and like get insta money and that might be like, oh, but then how can you truly experience our game? You just have to be like, it's in the player's hands to find their own enjoyment. And if they find that enjoyable, I'm sorry, but it's They paid money. But let them do whatever let them do whatever they want with it. That's what I'm saying.
I agree, honestly.
Like, aye.
And now, to be clear, not every game needs mods. I don't think a lot of online games need mods. It would fuck up the balance.
Sure.
But when you've got MMORPGs, RPGs, that kind of stuff, you could definitely use mods.
Yeah, well, I love mods and they're crazy, super cool, and I'm very interested in what it's going to be developing with that. Especially in gaming, it's so interesting. I'm sure we're definitely going to talk about it more, obviously, since we still because that's probably we've naturally devolved to this. But let's move on to something else. Marvel movies.
Marvel movies?
Yes. What is your favorite and your least favorite Marvel movie? Just shoot me.
My favorite would have to be The Winter Soldier.
The Winter Soldier?
Yeah.
Oh, why so?
I like the fact that it had a lot of espionage elements, and it was a lot more practical effect rather than
Sure.
CGI effect. And I
Definitely
think that Marvel
cool
needs a lot
shots.
more of that.
Okay.
And least favorite would. My least favorite.
Okay, well, before that, I'll let you think. I'll talk about my favorite Marvel movie. Call me a dweeb, because, I like Infinity War, actually. Marvel has a lot of good movies, and I'll say that up front with you. They have so many good, like Doctor Strange, beautiful. But my favorite, movie, because I've essentially just fallen in love with the story of Infinity War, because it's such a beautifully well executed story. And yes, like the whole second movie was like, oh, they kind of like oofed it up. But Infinity War by itself is a pretty good movie, and I wholeheartedly recommend it as my favorite Marvel movie.
So actually, I really like Endgame and Infinity War both. But I think if I had to say my least favorite, it would definitely be the original Thor.
Yeah. Oh god, the original few Thor, like the three first Thors, essentially, wasn't it?
The first two.
Two, I think. But it was Thor, and then it was Thor. The Dark. No one remembers that. I'm sure of it because it's so. Yeah, Thor's solo movies were not good at the beginning, but then he became like one of the best of the whole company. Thor was like Thor Ragnarok, like he became like the new new Iron Man. He was on the team, but he became like a
One
fan,
of the big three.
one of the big fan favorites.
He was
Because he was
yeah.
good in the other Avengers movie, but like his own movies, kind of like this character. So it kind of.
And yeah, to be honest with you, they were always setting.
But now
Thor
he's a
up.
better overall character, I believe.
Oh yeah, they were always setting Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man to be the big three of the Avengers. They were the big three. They always set them up to be that, and you felt that with Captain America and Iron Man, but you never felt that with Thor until Thor Ragnarok. And
Right.
I think Taika Waititi really made you feel that he was finally one of the big three.
And like he was finally like a real at first he was like a cute fish out of water guy from a different dimension that was like, haha, what? Humans are weird. Haha. I don't do it on my planet. And that's cool. It could be fun, but it wasn't enjoyable. And the stories of the Thors just weren't good. So I guess I gotta say that as well, Thor, because I did watch the Thor's movies, actually. I watched all of them because I was going to watch Thor Ragnarok, and I knew how bad the other ones were, so I was like, I'm going to watch the other one just to see. They are so laughably forgettable because I feel like they drag on. Like scenes is so scrutinally like, oh, I have no, because it's like Thor, super cool bat like hero, like hitting guys, doesn't really do that a whole lot in the movie. He doesn't. He just kind of like talks, and that's cool. And I'm not saying he can't talk, but that's super kind of boring when he's not a real character yet.
Hot take.
Hot take.
I believe that Iron Man 2, 3, and the first Captain America also suffer the same problem.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think that, to be honest with you, Iron Man 2, the first two Thors, the first Captain America, and even, to be honest a bit, the first Avengers, all have the same similar problems.
It's like,
and I think that Phase 1 is arguably the worst phase, except for Iron Man 1.
oh yeah, it's crazy. So the other movies weren't as good as Iron Man, for weird reasons. But actually, I remember watching Iron Man as it came out. We rented it on Redbox, and such. And at the end of the movie, the end credits, the song is "I'm Blue," dabba dee dabba doo dabba dee. And but the thing is, I had been like I was doing a bit with my cousins. I was with my cousins when I watched the movie. I was doing a whole bit about "I'm Blue," dabba dee da. It's a long story, but like I remember watching the movie and it was like super good. It was really like I've never seen anything like it before. It was like you've seen other superhero movies, but this wasn't like traditional. It wasn't like Superman. It wasn't like Batman. It was this just guy. He was selling weapons. Got essentially got into camp. They got imprisoned. He was a prisoner. He forced to make these
From his own weapons, yeah.
Yeah, with his own weapon. They put because he was selling weapons to the other guys, and that was the whole thing. Because he was a war dog kind of. Because war makes the money, and if you sell to both, you're guaranteed to win. Yeah, and it's stuff like that is super interesting. And the first one is good. The second one, isn't that what he throws his thing to the, or is that the third one?
That's the third one is where he throws his arc reactor into the water. The second one, I'll be honest with you, is great for the first half, and it's showing how he's kind of becoming a cocky asshole.
The first, that's where he pushes away his wife, and then
and
Robot.
Yeah, and so Rhodey has to come in and kick his ass to Robot Rock, and that's the best scene in the movie.
That's pretty good.
So, speaking of the MCU, what are some things you're looking forward in the MCU?
What I'm looking forward to MCU is actually currently there's a whole lot of talk about X-Men, obviously about Fantastic Four, and I'll be honest with you, I actually have a very deep relationship with Fantastic Four. I'm sure a lot of people do, because there's a lot of movies about compared to other superhero movies, there's a lot of Fantastic remakes and other stuff, because they were. I believe it's a legal thing. They have to they have to essentially make.
Fox, if they want to keep the rights, had to keep remaking the movies, and the thing is the 2000 movies were mediocre, and I think that they're guilty pleasure movies for me, to be honest. I do.
I love them, like The Thing, obviously, a classic.
They're great.
They're good for the time, and they're good movies for that sake. But
the Fox, the recent one that came out,
definitely terrible.
Fucking dog
terrible.
Shit.
Sorry, okay. So the whole
I would rather watch the unreleased 90s version.
Okay, the unreleased 90s version was absolutely the Rock, the Thing, the Rock. The Thing was a guy. The guy was, he was like a circle head. It was a very basic costuming that looked way weird, and you could totally tell they were like, yeah, we were just trying to make something so we can keep the rights, because it was not good. Definitely. But I'm interested. Oh my God! We are currently looking at a picture, and so it's 3 people. So I'm assuming that's the main man himself.
Oh yeah,
Mr. Fantastic with a little white streak. We got his the invisible chick. I forget her name. She's blonde. We have Flamey dude, also blonde, and then the Thing is like over them with his menacing growl, frown.
He looks like a stone made gorilla.
He looks like
You know, if a stonemason was like,
gorilla.
let me sculpt a gorilla, this is what he looks like.
That looks like a misshapen gorilla head, and like yeah, it's totally, absolutely, and it's
I
like
would rather watch that than the fucking 26.
it also looks like it looks like he's made out of, instead of like the rocks, like a bit orangey. It looks instead like his like skin is more of an or like gray with like tan spotting on like the bumps of it, instead of like the more rocky texture. No, yeah, that's terrible. It looks absolutely terrifying. I'm frightened by that.
I'm interested to see what they do with Wolverine.
I'm super interested. No, what I'm interested is what everyone's interested in. It is the big crossover, Avi, bro, where X-Men, Fantastic Four, the Avengers, all of them, and it becomes like the comics.
There's very likely going to be potentially 3 big players in Phase 4 for villains. Doctor Doom, Annihilus,
And
Galactus.
Galactus, yes, Galactus.
Those 3 will be the big 3 villains, probably.
And wait, Doom isn't he a direct like Fantastic Four villain?
Yeah, Galactus and him both are.
Galactus and are both Fantastic Four. So like it's crazy to think like the next
Annihilus might actually. No, Annihilus I think is Nova Corps, but I think Annihilus has been featured heavily in Fantastic
I'm super
Four.
interested in, like, how good like Iron Man looks, like in the movie. How good these movies look. Think about how like Fantastic Four would look. How good like X-Men already looked super good. Wait, and aren't they like supposedly talking to
we don't know if they cast Jonathan Krasinski or not as Mr. Fantastic.
the guy from Office?
Yeah. But we do know that he directly spoke to Marvel, and to be honest, if Marvel spoke to him, they probably spoke to his wife, and if you're gonna talk to his wife, you're probably gonna put him in the role of Mr. and Mrs. Fantastic. A lot of the fandom wants them to be that anyways, and I say, fuck it, why not? Honestly.
I agree, and obviously, I love him as like an actor. You definitely see him in like more movies. Was it what is it called? The Netflix movie? Was it called The Quiet Place?
Yeah.
The one with the
No.
The Hush. I don't know.
You got The Bird Box, which is the Netflix ripoff
Oh.
of A Quiet Place.
Oh, okay. Isn't A Quiet Place also Netflix?
No.
No, okay, it's not
That
Netflix.
no.
Okay,
I
okay.
think Netflix might have it currently.
Okay, I think I watched it on Netflix, but no. So I already forgot what it was called, even though I said it.
A Quiet Place.
A Quiet Place. He was in there, right? I'm not
Yeah, no,
crazy.
he was the dad.
Yeah, he was the dad. That's what I.
And he was the director.
He was also the director, which is what how many actors do that? I know Chris Evans doesn't do that. But he also does directing though.
Yeah.
What is it? Benny? Barry. You know Barry?
Yeah.
The show on HBO, I would be. Yeah, HBO. Barry. Oh, if you obviously you should look up the shows we're talking about. Super good, all of them. Also, The Witcher on Netflix. But Barry currently is on Hulu, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Barry's super good, especially if you're interested in a more comedic take. So the whole idea about Barry is that the actor, who is, I don't know his name. Bill Hader, who is very very well known. He was on Saturday Night Live. I was him to believe, right? He's on Saturday Night, or am I pulling that? Saturday Night Live. He was like a lot of good comedians come from that. And the whole thing is he's also the director and like partially the director.
Yeah, and the writer.
He's also a part of the writing crew and the protagonist, Barry, the titular character.
It's fucking bonkers.
Yeah. And that show is also really good. And I love how they tell a story in that show because it's such a interesting flow, and the way they handle the material is super interesting because like the character like. So the idea is Barry is a hitman, and Bill Hader, it's just him. He's the hitman. It's him playing a guy that is a hitman who doesn't want to be a hitman, but is still technically a hitman and is trying to get out. And with that, they go through a lot of hitman scenarios. He's still technically doing a couple of jobs, but he's trying to get out, and he eventually does. but the whole convoluted plot, and it's super interesting, and and I feel like it naturally develops like the tension because like stuff just naturally escalates. Like at one point it's like, oh, we chilling, and then oh no, the mob shoots who is it, the guys shoot
Yeah.
the cartel,
Yeah.
those guys, and it's like, oh no, we're gonna have to fight you. It's like, oh, and then Barry's tossed into the straight middle of it.
No, yeah, shit just goes down.
Because he was told to assassinate them, but then he like accidentally got like his buddies, and then like his one buddy brought all of his buddies, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're just gonna rush them into a car, like right at them at an airport, like the whole runway. We're gonna drive through the runway, because they got off of a plane, right? We're gonna drive straight at them and to kill them. Obviously, it doesn't work. They get shot at, and the car flips over. Naturally, like one does."
Oh yeah.
And like that scene makes perfect sense, and I think like, oh, it's just like it's dumb. It obviously shouldn't have worked. Guns don't work like that. But like also the story relationship with Barry and the girl, yeah, and the actor friend, and oh god, and wait, didn't it leave on a cliffhanger for us currently because
it did leave off on a cliffhanger.
because we no spoilers, but I'm
Yeah.
so upset about because it's the with his power.
I have an off-topic question for Barry, kind of back on the MCU.
What?
What actor do you want to play Wolverine?
That's an interesting question because obviously Hugh Jackman isn't going to do the role anymore. He's retired the role of being that Fox. Who I want to see in the role? Who currently is there anyone? Or is it still just up in the air? Because
It's as of right now, we've had rumors that Taron Egerton is being looked at, aka the Kingsman. Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy, Pacific Rim. He's been looked at apparently. Henry Cavill is apparently being looked at. No, yeah. So there's a few actors on the table.
I don't know. I trust Marvel to hopefully pick a person that is capable of being able to handle the role, because for some reason, because being able to pick an actor for the way they handle their characters and their shows is it isn't like, oh, you're going to do a couple movies with us and that's it. You're going to do a couple movies and you're going to be that character when we're going to do crossovers and the big summer blockbuster Avengers movies. Like that's what you're going to be in those as that character. So not only do you get like all the have your own movie, you are brought into other projects, and projects specifically meant to be this expansive universe. And I believe like Fantastic Four will likely pop up in a couple other shows just like as a one-off because they need to go to them and talk about some stuff. And like these they have the whole one scene. I was like, oh, and Mr. Fantastic will do his Mr. Fantastic, and it'll be a good scene. And but I believe that's such an interesting idea of like the relationship between like a shared universe with characters, because it's like so natural that like you don't break away.
And they're about to do that on a whole nother scale right now.
Mm-hmm.
Considering if you watch the TV shows, they're building up for. In the TV shows, you've got the. I can't remember the name of it completely. Where I can't. Madripoor. So in Winter Soldier and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we know that there's going to be some scenes in Madripoor. Madripoor is a place heavily featured in the X-Men comics. We know for the WandaVision show, her big thing in that is going to set up Doctor Strange 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like her movie directly
sets up the Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And it's called Into
the Multiverse of Madness.
Yes, and that's going to be interesting to see.
And it's apparently from the comic stories we've gathered that we've already been confirmed that they're basing the show off of. It's the opposite of what she does in the comics, where she goes, "No more mutants." It'll be, instead of it being "No more mutants," she'll be "No more mutants."
Ooh.
Yeah, and so
And
because
then you get the whole
birth of mutants, multiversal shit gets fucked up, hence why Doctor Strange has to show up. Bruce Campbell wants to make an appearance in that movie because Sam Raimi's directing it.
Oh,
Spider-Man director.
I want to see this.
Yeah, so he's like, let me be the villain in my best friends in the movie.
I want to see that.
So what I would like to see from Bruce Campbell, though, if he is, I don't want to see him as a villain. No. I want Bruce Campbell to play an alternate universe version of Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, an older Doctor Strange.
That'd be cool. And that'd be. Oh, okay.
And apparently, my biggest, a big rumor for that movie, and I'm so excited for it if it turns out to be true. Ghost Rider might show up in that movie, but do you know who Marvel's looking at
for Ghost Rider? Who?
Keanu goddamn Reeves.
Are you serious? Keanu Reeves? My favorite boy is John Wick himself, Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, he's gonna be playing Johnny Blaze.
Dude, he's gonna follow suit, and the other amazing actor who played the role, Nicolas Cage.
If this is true, yes. Not confirmed, and it's mostly rumor, and I think it's just online speculation. In fact, it is. I'm gonna just say it is.
Not fact.
Tobey Maguire coming back might be possible, though.
I hope, bro. That was stupid. I love Tom and Spider-Man.
And hear me out. You know how you could easily bring him in and justify bringing in another Spider-Man?
How?
What does Tom Holland's Spider-Man not currently have?
He has no mentor, because
Yeah.
Iron Man died.
And yet,
Spoiler, sorry.
Spider-Man needs to start being his own Spider-Man, but who better to teach him how to be
Spider-Man
than
Spider-Man? And isn't the whole like Spider-Verse like a big concept in Spider-Man?
Yeah, in fact, they might. I think Marvel might probably be kind of setting up Spider-Verse-esque events.
That's super cute.
But, like live action.
Live action cross Spider-Verse. I think that is going to be interesting to see. Not only seeing a Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland, which I believe is an amazing Spider-Man currently, but being able to see a bunch of other actors play the Spider-Man mantle. Oh my God! I'm going to love it. For sure. Oh, bro. I love it. Yeah, okay. Well, so I believe that is going to be it for the first episode of the FNEC Podcast. Thank you all for listening to this podcast with me and my pal. Would you like?
Oh yeah, thank you all very, 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 very much for tuning in and listening to us ramble about nerdy shit for an hour and 13 minutes and 54 seconds.
Yeah, currently. Much appreciated. I hope you had a good listening, and hopefully see you in the next podcast. Bye.